Nothing? Okay. You guys. Ew. Okay, for real. We're doing it. We're gonna get deep. Welcome. Hi, world. It's Jangwin. Welcome back to Ill for Real, a podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the things that I have turned into a TikTok vodcast instead, for reasons being because they make things too complicated and they're taking away all my monetizations or whatever, and I just want to keep doing this for fun and growing and helping people and talking about things that I want to talk about, but make my life easier, and TikTok is just easier. So here we are. Okay, bear with me. It's Monday morning and I've spilled my coffee all over the table. So give me a second. Let me gather myself. Okay, now I need more coffee. Okay, we can start now. Welcome to Ill for Real, where life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. And this is where you come in and you say it with me now. I love you, Jenny. Sweet. Just kidding. Apparently you can't force people to love you. But we'll get into that later. So I asked you guys on Instagram what you wanted to talk about, and I feel like every time I do that, something in the universe just happens to where I'm like, just kidding, never mind. I'm not taking any of your suggestions because something happened to come up and now I know exactly what I'm going to talk about. So screw you guys. Just kidding. Hopefully this feels a lot more lighthearted and fun and inspiring and helpful and stuff than my soon to be most recent episode, currently future final episode on Spotify and Apple Music. If you are new to the podcast, it is Ill for Real by Jenny Hiles. There are a lot of really good episodes. We talk about real things with real life people. We get deep. We laugh, we cry, all kinds of stuff. And if you want to listen to those, head there for that. But as of right now, we're migrating here to TikTok. And what I want to talk about today was an experience that I had, per usual, in the middle of the night. I was on a dating app. Disgustingly enough. Just kidding. It's fine. Dating apps or whatever. We can talk. Well, actually, we should probably talk about those on one of these episodes. And I can also give you some really funny content because, ew, for real. I was scrolling, someone's profile caught my attention, and I was like, oh, he's cute. And it said that he was in an open E&M relationship, I believe is what it said. And I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this, an egg? If you know, you know. I looked it up. It's an ethical, non-monogamous relationship, and I was very curious. I was like, what is this guy doing with his life? That led me to a website that showed me the different types of attachment styles. And I was like, oh, you know what? I'm not even going to freaking worry about matching with this guy or talking to him or messaging him or whatever. I'm just going to take this quiz online because I like learning about myself. So let me look this up again because I completely forgot. And I'm doing this on a whim right now with you. E&M relationship. Why does that say kitchen table? TMI. We don't need to know about what they do on the kitchen table. Okay. What is this bun doing? Look like olive oil from Popeye. What are the different types of E&M relationships? Types of E&M relationships are non-monogamy, basically. He's in a non-monogamous relationship, which is absolutely not like myself. But apparently it's kind of like an open relationship. Him and his partner must be on the same page, and they see other people. There's also the non-consensual kind, which is also known as cheating. Okay. Then there's the consensual kind, which is known as consensual or ethical. That's what it is. Ethical, non-monogamous relationship. So it's ethical in the eyes of both of themselves, which probably just means they want to sleep with other people, but whatever. We're not going to go there. Ill for real. Did I ever mention to you guys about how my once upon a husband approached me one day and asked if I was willing to be in an open relationship? And at the time, I actually was a little bit more open to it. I still kind of am. I would be, but not really with the sexual stuff. I don't know. I feel like I would be open to an open relationship in the sense of like, hey, it's kind of nice to talk to like a new person who knows nothing about you and like have this like not emotional bond, which I guess it would turn into an emotional bond, but like friendship. But it might be a friendship with someone of the opposite sex, and you don't want that person to think that there's anything going on that is maybe not. I don't know. I was open to it, but I was approached about it at a very bad time in our lives, and so I was taken aback. Did I tell you guys about this? I don't remember. And I was just like, why? Because I had a feeling in my gut that something was already going on, and I was only being asked so that they didn't feel guilty about what they were doing. That's what I felt in my bones. But anyways, all that to say, I started looking this up, and then I came across a website that was like, take a quiz to, I can't remember, it was something to do with like taking a quiz to see if you not qualify. Do I qualify for an ethical non-monogamous relationship? No, if it's something that would work for you. And the link led me to, this is probably going to be a 2-part episode, by the way, because I literally don't shut up. Attachmentproject.com, which is basically where I ended up. Fine, accept all cookies. My God, I am kind of hungry. Okay, so it pulls up your attachment style, which I've taken this quiz before, I believe, but it's an attachment style quiz, which teaches you, do you guys know about this? About how you are attached to your partner in relationships. Are you anxious? Are you, can't remember the different types, but you can take the quiz, okay? So I think that's the one that I started taking, and this quiz blew my mind because it asks you a lot, which I'll go through it here. We're going to take the quiz together, exactly what I did the other night, so I already know what my outcome is. I have screenshots on my phone and everything. I'm going to share them on Instagram with you. But I learned a lot about myself, and I think you will learn a lot about yourself as well. So there are secure attachment styles, anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, or disorganized attachment. And you will see all of that on the website. Sponsor me. Start quiz. I am single. Oh, wait. Nah! Ew, for real. We're literally everywhere. Okay, so you guys are watching me right now. Like, this is what I would look like and how I would be acting behind the scenes when I was actually filming the podcast before there was video proof, video evidence of how I act. Okay, my whole life I have clicked the box that says married, in a relationship, yada yada. So this is the first time I took a quiz. It was in the middle of the night. I already freaked out because I clicked I am single. Also, I get to the boxes that makes you check your age. And now I'm not in the 18 to 24 category. I'm not in the 25 to 30 category. I'm not 25 to 30. I'm in the 31 to 40 category. That was already mind-blowing and very traumatizing to start the quiz. I do know what gender I am, though. I will not click that I prefer not to say, because I will prefer to say that I am a woman. Okay? Do I have children? Traumatizing! Okay, this is, that's gonna make more sense when you listen to my most recent episode. Do I have children? No. Okay. We're going to finish this quiz on part 2. Gonna get to the good stuff, the nitty-gritty. Question number 1. If you're not gonna go online and take this quiz, we can do this together. And if you answer similarly to me, then we'll have similar outcomes. So then you know so much about yourself. Okay, attunement. Oh, it says, how do you perceive the following conditions were met by your mother or caregiver in early childhood? So your number one caregiver growing up, for me, it would be my mother. If she's listening, which I know she's not going to, because she literally doesn't even follow me on TikTok anymore. She's deleted all social media. But if anybody's going to go snitch to my mom, make sure she knows that I love her. And this is my experience, how I see it, how I feel it. My truth, my podcast. Um, and I tried to answer as honestly and genuinely as I could. So please do not take offense. And if you know people in my family, please do not judge them by my answers because, again, this was early childhood. Okay, first question asks, was my mother emotionally in tune with how I was feeling? She could read my emotions and respond in a way that made me feel like they understood how I felt. You can answer between very rarely, which is a number 1 on the scale, to a number 7 on the scale, which is very frequently. I'm going to put it at, I'm going to try to remember what I answered the other night because I want it to be the same outcome, but feel like they understood how I felt. I'm going to put was emotionally in tune with how I was feeling, could read my emotions. Very rarely. No. Expressed delight. Did she take genuine interest in me and expressed delight in who I was? I felt special and valued by them. Yeah, I'm going to say 5 because of, we'll get into it. Material things. Gave me things that I wanted to have, like toys, bicycles, certain clothing, computers, etc. Very funny because she would throw away a lot of my material things, and I have like attachment issues with material things now, but she would always take care of me and gave me what I wanted and buy me things, and I remember we never went without, so I answered a 5 for that. Basic needs. Provided me with sufficient food and housing and medical care when I needed. Very frequently. All the way yes. Agree. I was always taken care of. Soothing and reassurance. Calmed and soothed me effectively when I became distressed, upset, or overwhelmed. I'm going to put very rarely. Protection. Kept me safe from danger and threats. I felt safe when I was with them. Yes. Always felt safe. In that way. Encouraged exploration and discovery, helped me find and express my natural interests and talents. I'm going to put all the way yes. They were very supportive of like those types of things and who I was and what I wanted to do and my passions and things like that. Were physically around while I was growing up. All the way yes. Yes. Took me to activities like music lessons, sport teams, camp, etc., and or to visit friends. This is very hard because I was literally not allowed to do anything, and she would often go to these places and pick me up, and I couldn't stay there. But then like music lessons, yes, she always took me to activities for like things, maybe it was like things that she thought were beneficial to me. I'm gonna put a 3 because like yeah, it says very rarely, but sometimes she would. So a 3. Okay. Early childhood father. Caregiver number 2 are the questions you're going to be asking. And material things. Gave me things that I wanted to have, like toys, bicycles, computers, etc. It's like, okay, everything's going to be really opposite with my parents. Out of it, a 2. Support for activities. Took me to activities, music lessons, and or to visit friends. He never took me to my activities. No, very rarely. Were physically around while I was growing up. I'm going to put a 1. Was emotionally in tune with how I was feeling. Could read my emotions and respond in a way that made me feel like they understood how I felt. I'm going to leave it in the middle, neutral, because I feel like he was more in tune with me in that way. It's so crazy that I never really recognized how different each one of which obviously your relationship with your parents are going to be different between each other, but what one person didn't do, the other kind of did, vice versa. Provided me with sufficient food and housing and medical care when needed. Yes. That was mom. Calmed and soothed me effectively when I became distressed, upset, or overwhelmed. Maybe he did a little bit better than my mom. I'll put a 3. Expressed delight. Took genuine interest in me and expressed delight in who I was. I felt special and valued by them. All the way. Like, they were very good in that area. Kept me safe from danger and threats. I felt safe when I was with them. Yeah, like physically. I don't know what that really means, but yeah. Encouraged exploration and discovery, helped me find and express my natural interests and talents. Absolutely. He taught me how to play guitar and everything. So, and it's making me slide the button for emotionally in tune, could read my emotions. I'm going to put it out of 5 because it's not letting me leave it neutral. Okay. So, this might even have to be a part 3 because I'm already running out of time. But it's back to my mother now. Your mother, your number one caregiver. It helps to turn to this person in times of need. And we've got from strongly disagree to strongly agree. I'm going to disagree. I talk things over with this person. I'm going to disagree. I don't feel comfortable opening up to this person. I'm going to slightly agree. Because I will now, because I'm a grown-ass woman. But I'm not comfortable with it. I worry that this person won't care about me as much as I care about him or her. Strongly disagree. See, I'm not worried about that. I usually discuss my problems and concerns with this person. Absolutely not. I often worry that this person doesn't really care for me. No. I know she cares for me in her own ways. I find it easy to depend on this person. Strongly disagree. I prefer not to show this person how I feel deep down. Slightly disagree because I prefer not to, but I will. I absolutely will tell her. I'm afraid that this person may abandon me. Absolutely not. My mother would never abandon me. It's so weird how safe versus not safe you are in different scenarios with people. Relationship with your father. I find it easy to depend on this person. Strongly disagree. It helps to turn to this person in times of need. Strongly disagree. I worry that this person won't care about me as much as I care about him or her. Strongly disagree. It's not about that they don't care about me. No. I know they care about me. I don't feel comfortable opening up to this person. Disagree. I will open up to my father. I'm afraid that this person may abandon me. Agree. I talk things over with this person. Strongly agree. We talk about everything. I usually discuss my problems and concerns. Agree. I talk to him about stuff like that. I often worry that this person doesn't really care for me. Disagree. Actually not. Strongly disagree. I prefer not to show this person how I feel deep down. Strongly disagree. I will show them. I will show you how I feel. And then it takes you to the relationship structure with your romantic partner. And this is where it got interesting. Not gonna lie. I tried to answer as honestly as I could. I'm sorry for those of you who were like cringing at the parts where I probably shouldn't have been uncomfortably laughing at, but that's just life. Okay, so in the middle of the night, I'm taking this quiz, all because I landed here because of some guy's freaking profile on Bumble said he was in an ethical non-monogamous relationship, and I was like, what the heck is this? And somehow I landed on this website. And I am like, oh, flabbergasted at how different my mom's and my relationship was from my father's and I, but how equally dysfunctional they were. But I've never had a problem with like support and like being like taken care of, I guess. I don't know. It's very hard to understand. So then right now, part 3, what we're about to get into is it jumps into your relationship structure with a romantic partner. And this is what the quiz says. Please answer the following questions with respect to your romantic partner. I don't have one right now because both of them cheated on me. But it says, if you are currently not in a romantic relationship, please answer these questions with respect to how you felt in your most recent meaningful relationship. If you have never been in a romantic relationship before, imagine what such a relationship would be like. Fantasize, if you will. So my most recent relationship was a very short-lived one, although our friendship was growing over the span of a few years. But I answered these questions with respect to my once upon a husband, my marriage, which lasted almost 8 years, the relationship which lasted almost 14. So we had been together since 2009. We were high school sweethearts, and these after you listen to the questions that I answered regarding my mother and my father, you're going to be like, oh my God, this poor girl, she's going to struggle. Then I got here and my mind was blown. Okay. I usually discuss my problems and concerns with this person, my once upon a husband. We have options from strongly disagree, all the way up to strongly agree. In between being disagree, slightly agree, etc., etc. Do I discuss my problems and concerns with this person? Strongly agree. Open communication. I find it easy to depend on this person. Strongly agree. This is when I started crying in the middle of the night when I was taking the quiz. Because I was like, wait, what the fuck? Why is it so easy to answer these questions? I'm answering them like this, as opposed to when I was answering my mother's and father's questions. I was like, disagree. I prefer not to show this person how I feel deep down. Strongly disagree. I often worry that this person doesn't really care for me. Strongly disagree. I talk things over with this person. Strongly agree. We're gonna get deep. We're gonna laugh. I might cry. I'm afraid that this person may abandon me. I answered, strongly disagree. Okay? Absolutely not. Would never. Couldn't be him. It helps to turn to this person in times of need. Strongly agree. I worry that this person won't care about me as much as I care about them. Strongly disagree. We equally and lovingly care about both of each other, and showed it pretty often. I don't feel comfortable opening up to this person. Strongly disagree. Don't mind the saliva in my mouth. I am literally salivating out of stress. Read each of the following statements and rate the extent which you believe each statement best describes your feelings about close relationships in general. So then it takes you to a page about the general population in your life. I was thinking of my friends, close friends, distant friends, relatives, etc. Pause for the truck driving. So, when it comes to relationships in general, I worry that others won't care about me as much as I care about them. Strongly agree. It's crazy. Still mind blown. I don't feel comfortable opening up to others. Strongly disagree. I'm literally giving you all of my dirty laundry literally right now. I usually discuss my problems and concerns with others. Agree. Yeah, like maybe not in depth online, etc. But yeah, I'm open book. I'm afraid that other people may abandon me. Strongly agree. I prefer not to show others how I feel deep down. Strongly deep agree. You gonna know the real me immediately. I often worry that other people do not really care for me. Strongly agree. I talk things over with people. I'm gonna say agree because I'm talking to myself on a phone right now. You guys are not here, but I would talk to you. Friends and family, yeah, it depends, I guess, on the person. I find it easy to depend on others. I'm gonna strongly disagree there. Depends on who they are. You know who you are. I love you. I'm not talking about you. General population, okay? It helps to turn to people in times of need. Immediately no. I can't. So, that was the end of the quiz. Turns out my attachment style is anxious/preoccupied. And then you can put in your email, yada yada, to find more about your attachment style or whatever. But for some reason, when I did it on the phone, it showed me everything. And I didn't have to like check my email for the full report. So if you decide to take this quiz, it gives you at the very end a graph And there's a section for avoidance versus anxiety. And then there's little boxes. One is dismissing attachment, a disorganized attachment, secure attachment, and preoccupied attachment. And then it shows you where you land in that graph. And my score for, if you heard the answers that I answered regarding my mother, was on a scale of, I believe it's 1 to 7, okay? Scale of 1 to 7. My score for anxiety with my mother is 1.3. Not very anxious with my mother. It is what it is. My avoidance with my mother, 5.6. My father, my anxiety level is at a 4.3. And then my avoidance is at a 4. And then I took the quiz in regards to my ex-husband, my once upon a husband, if you will. Anxiety level is at a 2.3. And avoidance level is at a 1.3. So very low anxiety, very low avoidance. And I realized that I was making up for all of that dysfunction with my mother and father in my romantic relationship. I wanted to have open communication. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to be there for each other and support each other and talk through things or whatever. And I always felt very safe. And now it makes me sad and makes me cry thinking about that, because if I were to answer these questions now regarding him, are you afraid this person's going to abandon you? He literally did. Yes. Who else is he going to abandon? It just blew my mind. It's wild. My anxiety level was a 2.3 and my avoidance level was a 1.3. So very much safe in that relationship, and did my best and worked hard at making up for what I lacked in my childhood. Now, if he were to take this quiz, I have no idea where he would land, because his relationships with his parents are completely different from mine. And I have a feeling that he's an avoidant partner, which is why he avoided me, which is why we ended the way we did. But then my score in general with everybody else, friends, family, the public, relationships in general. I did not realize that I have such bad anxiety. My anxiety level with the general world public is a 6 on a 7-point scale. I'm very anxious that people don't care about me, don't love me, are going to be, especially now because of feeling the way I did as a child with my parents, then making up for it and feeling safe, and then being abandoned worse than what I was as a child. Now I have a 6 anxiety level, and my avoidance level with the general public, relationships in general, is a 2.6. So I don't like to avoid things. I do like to talk about things. I like to be open. I like people to feel safe with me. So I feel like I don't avoid stuff, and it shows because I scored a 2 on a 7-point scale of avoidance, but my anxiety is now at a 6. It's okay. You can listen to my last episodes on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where I explain why I'm on medication and in therapy, and why it shouldn't be looked at as a bad thing these days, because you never know what people are going through, you know. So my attachment style is an anxious/preoccupied attachment style, and it says, what does it mean to be anxious and preoccupied? The anxious preoccupied attachment style is one of the 3 insecure forms of attachment. There's anxious, avoidant, and disorganized. The anxious preoccupied style is characterized by an inconsistent formative period which leads to low self-esteem and low self-worth, which is just literally crazy because you guys know me even here on this podcast. This is my first tattoo. It says love yourself. I feel like I value myself. I have self-worth. I feel like I don't have low self-worth, but maybe that's how I function, as if I did feel that way. I don't know. 2, a constant need for external validation and reassurance from others in an attempt to prove themselves worthy of love and affection. Again, I started crying in the middle of the night when I was taking this test because I was like, why? 3, a fear of rejection and criticism. I have come to terms that, yeah, I'm really bad with people giving me criticism. If it's not constructive criticism, if it's not something that's going to help me there in an instant, if it's just like about like, oh, you're so annoying. You're so, I don't know, just criticism in general. I'm like, ah! I feel like I have to prove myself and it's so annoying. May become highly upset at any form of disapproval. Couldn't be me. Self-sacrifice and putting the needs of others first. That's probably my worst flaw. I sacrifice myself, my well-being, my emotional and mental state for the needs of others, and it's a problem. It's a problem, okay? And then, let's see, what else did it say? Low self-esteem, blah, 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 puts other first. Struggles with being single or alone for periods of time. Relationships and intimacy are strongly connected with an anxious attacher's feelings of self-worth. Wait, let me read that. Relationships and intimacy are strongly connected with an anxious attacher's feelings of self-worth. Therefore, they may crave attention and try to impress others in an attempt to get it. Couldn't be me. But that's really weird because I feel like I wasn't like that in my previous relationship. So how does this diagnose me? It has to know. I don't know. I have no idea. How does it diagnose me? This computer did not diagnose me, okay? Don't listen to anything I say. Attentiveness to loved ones, almost to a fault. Others may end up taking advantage of this kind and generous nature because of this trait. To a fault. Very attentive. Oh my gosh. I need to get my phone charger. Oh, I can get it. It's right here. I can get your phone charger. They can get up and get their own freaking phone charger that's 3 feet away from them. And then people take advantage of that. I have the stupidest examples for stuff. So then it tells me what that graph meant. The little square boxes that I was telling you about. Well, wait, airplane. I have dog hairs all over me. I'm so sorry. It's okay. I have a dog now. It explains to you how the graph works so you can read what your outcome is and make sense of it. Oh, and then it shows you some workbooks that you can download. They're digital workbooks, and then it's perfect for those who are ready to work on some serious changes in their life. Honestly, I could probably benefit from this because clearly my anxious attachment style is not healthy. It's not good. It ain't cute. Ew, for real. But there's a reason that I am the way that I am. Insert yam. But it was mind-blowing because I didn't realize how badly... I've always been a very open person, and I didn't realize how much I was holding back from my parents. And that stems from their attachment styles. I feel like one of my parents, you could probably guess who, was a very avoidant type, and the other one was a very, like, hovering type, and I did have some avoidance there with them, but that's not like me, so I would open up in other areas, and I just never... I knew that for some reason I felt safe in my romantic relationship, and that he gave me everything that I always wanted and everything that I always needed, but I always thought it was genuine from him, and now I feel like it was just because they felt bad for me or something. I don't know. Maybe they realized these things before I ever did, and I have been told by him in the past that, like, he would just be so much more rich and so much better off and so much better this and that if he wasn't taking care of me his whole life. He just had to take care of me all the time, as if I was like a useless, lazy little dependent, like I can do whatever I want for myself. I'm a very strong independent woman, but when it comes to my romantic relationship, I want it to feel safe and loving. And I just didn't realize that I was attaching myself to this person and trusting them and putting so much worth and just trust into this person when maybe I shouldn't have, or I don't know how I'm supposed to function. Like, people who are similar in attachment styles to me, what are we supposed to do? Am I supposed to avoid people and then be the bitch that everybody hates because, like, oh, she hates everything? Or do I stay this soft, lovey-dovey, no, I trust you, and if you're going to give me your word, I'm going to believe your word. And if you don't keep your word, then what? I fall and just be in shambles? I don't know. What am I supposed to do? What do we do? Tell me in the comments. What do we do to do? Just have a conversation with me, because it blew my mind. What's your attachment style? I want to know your attachment style now.